Hey guys, Two-Time Marine here with another Semper Sundays. This one, we're going to be talking about Operation Phantom Fury, which is the second Battle of Fallujah. This took place in November and December of 2004. This was the second time the city had been tried to be taken. The first time, they made some good progress, but it was immediately, as the military, as the U.S. pulled out, it was just basically taken over again by the insurgents. And so then, after, I believe it was like 7 months prior, I think April was when the last U.S. forces were in there. So it had been, what is that? Yeah, about 7 months. So 7 months of no U.S. troops in the city. And the second Battle of Fallujah is considered the most deadly, the most, like, the fiercest fighting of the entire Iraq War. It is compared to what's the quote here? U.S. military called it some of the heaviest urban combat that U.S. Marines have been involved in since the Battle of Waste City in Vietnam in 1968. And that place was just intense, to say the least. So, about the battle, essentially the goal of it was to take back the city. I mean, that was really the end goal. The good thing about it is that there is a fair amount of time. I haven't been able to find the exact timeline, but basically before the battle took place, all the civilians in the city were told that there was going to be that shit was going to go down, and so they needed to leave the city. And they did. Almost all of the civilians in the city left. It's estimated of the, where was it? 70 to 90% of the 300,000 civilians in the city left. So a good chunk of them were gone, which allowed the U.S. military to claim that anything in the city that is not American is hostile. And so they could shoot to kill anything within the city. The battle was fought starting November 7th of 2004 through December, I believe it said 23rd, so just before Christmas of 2004. It was a rough battle, by all means. There was a lot of guys killed and hurt. On the American side, there was 95 killed, 560 wounded American casualties. 54 of those killed and 425 of those were took place in the first week of the battle. So it was very, very intense. Let's see. There's a ton of insurgents were killed. It's estimated between 12 and 1,500 were killed, and then 1,500 were captured. And so we definitely fucking laid down an ass whooping. There's some insane stories, and I'm just pulling the Marine side of things, but there's some good stuff done by the Army as well. The Army had a small presence. My dogs are snoring again. I believe it said the Marines had there were 6,500 Marines in the city that were fighting, and then approximately 1,500 Army soldiers that were taking place. And the Army did good shit there too. Don't let anyone say they didn't. Those guys busted the shit out. But there's 3 Marines that I wanted to highlight for this battle that are just legit. The first of which was killed, actually, in the battle. His name is Sergeant Raphael Peralta, and he was given the Navy Cross, or his parents were given the Navy Cross for his actions, although they're attempting to get him the Medal of Honor because, frankly, what he did rates the Medal of Honor. So, where is the... Let's see. So he was deployed as a scout team leader with 1-3. My dog's ridiculous. Basically, they'd been clearing houses. He died within the first week. He died on the 15th of November. They'd been clearing house after house full of insurgents. And they'd gone through 3 houses this day, and on the 4th house, he found the 2 rooms on the floor, 2 of the rooms on the ground floor were empty. When he opened the third door, he was point man. He was hit multiple times with an AK, in which obviously severely wounded him. He then dropped to the floor to allow his Marines to get into the room and take down whoever was in there. The insurgents then responded by chucking a grenade at the Marines. Two of the Marines with Sergeant Peralta tried to get out, but they couldn't. So Sergeant Peralta is still conscious on the floor, and despite his wounds, he was able to reach for the grenade and pull it under his body, which absorbed the majority of the blast, and it killed him instantly, but it saved the two Marines that were stuck in the room with him. Doctors here in the States, which have never fucking been to a place like Fallujah, are claiming that with his wounds, it was impossible for him to be able to do that, but you don't just reach out and grab a grenade. They said that he was brain dead at this point, so he couldn't have possibly reached out and grab it. But being on the floor already and the grenades rolling around the room, his Marines are saying he reached out, grabbed the grenade, and pulled it under him to keep those two Marines alive, and he did. Those two Marines were injured, but they lived. So hopefully, his Medal of Honor will get pushed through, and he'll be awarded it because he deserves it. Let's see. I'm just trying to read here. Yeah. Either way, people are still pushing for it. They're really hoping that he can get it because he, without a shadow of a doubt, he deserves it. The next Marine, which is still serving, I believe. I believe he's still serving. His name's Sergeant Major Bradley Kasal. Hold on, I'll have to pause this and start up again. Okay, sorry. Boy woke up freaking out, absolutely freaking out, wanted some water or something. So the second Marine, Sergeant Major Bradley Kasal, he was a first sergeant at the time with 3-1. Look up if you haven't seen it, I believe it's called The House of Death. Let me Google this mofo. Oh, it's the Fallujah Hell House is what they called it. So basically, the sergeant major, first sergeant at the time, was on patrol with his Marines, and they were busy clearing houses, doing their thing. Essentially, his Marines went into a house, and as he's coming along, all of a sudden he sees a Marine stumble out of a house, and the dude's covered in blood. The dude's obviously hurt, and he tells him that there's other Marines inside the house. And so the sergeant major basically busts in the house to try to help him, and it's pretty intense. I'll read the citation. But his actions in the firefight in the house, he was wounded by 7 AK rounds, 7.62 by 39 millimeter, and hit by more than 43 pieces of hot fragmentation from a grenade, while using his body to shield a fellow Marine. And even with that, he's the one, if you've seen the picture of the Marine being carried out of the house, and his legs are covered in blood, and he's holding the pistol and his fingers straightened off the trigger, that's him. He was carried out of the house by 2 of his Marines, Lance Corporal Chris Marquez and Lance Corporal Dane Schaefer. He lost approximately 60% of his blood, which is just ridiculous, because I think they said 40% you pass out. But this guy was still going. He's a fucking tough dude. Due to his injuries, he lost 4 inches of bone in his right leg. He's undergone 21 surgeries as of right now to repair his leg and save it. He still is recovering, but he walks with a limp. Obviously, how could you not? At one time, I don't know if he's still doing it, but he was the sergeant major of SOI in Camp Pendleton. And so the dude in fucking charge of that school knows his shit. But his citation is as follows: the President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Navy Cross to Bradley A. Kasal, First Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, for extraordinary heroism while serving as First Sergeant, Weapons Company, 3rd Battalion, 1st Marine Regiment, Regimental Combat Team 1, 1st Marine Division, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, United States Marine Corps Central Command, which you guys will understand all of that when you, after you're in. You'll get what all that is. In support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, on 13 November 2004, he was assisting 1st Section Combined Anti-Armor Platoon as they provided a traveling watch over 3rd Platoon as they cleared houses. When he heard a large volume of fire erupt to his immediate front, shortly followed by Marines rapidly exiting the structure. When First Sergeant Kasal learned that the Marines were pinned down inside the house by an unknown number of enemy personnel, he joined a squad making entry into the house to clear the structure and rescue the Marines inside. He made entry into the first room, immediately encountering and eliminating an enemy insurgent as he spotted a wounded Marine in the next room. While moving towards the wounded Marine, First Sergeant Kasal and another Marine came under heavy rifle fire from an elevated enemy position, and both were severely wounded in the legs, immobilizing them. When the sergeant threw grenades in an attempt to eliminate the wounded Marines, he rolled on top of his fellow Marine and absorbed the shrapnel with his own body. When First Sergeant Kasal was offered medical attention and extraction, he refused until the other Marines were given medical attention. Although severely wounded himself, he shouted encouragement to his fellow Marines as they continued to clear the structure. By his bold leadership, wise judgment, and complete dedication to duty, First Sergeant Kasal reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. Now, that's just a shit. I don't care who you are. That's some badass shit right there. And apparently all the Marines that I know that have met him said he's just a cool dude. Absolutely cool dude. So, fucking good for him. And he's still serving as far as I know. I imagine he'll retire eventually, but hopefully he goes far. And the last one is an officer. He got promoted to major after this, but he was a captain at the time. Or he's a lieutenant, rather, at the time. He was awarded the Navy Cross, and I should say, if I didn't say that, Sergeant Major Kasal was given the Navy Cross for what he did in that house. This officer, his name is Brian Chontosh, I believe is how you say it. And this actually wasn't in Fallujah. I thought it was. Let's see. It's not, but screw it. Let's do it anyway. I already talked about him. He was a lieutenant with 3-5, which is an infantry battalion, and basically while they were advancing upon Baghdad about a year earlier, March of 2003, his guys were hit. They were attacked aggressively by an entrenched enemy. And it says, when they were hit, he was reported to have aggressively attacked an enemy position, resorting to using captured enemy weaponry when his M16 ran out of ammo. He's reported to have killed at least 20 enemy soldiers during the incident, which is hardcore. His actual citation reads as follows: The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Navy Cross to Brian R. Chontosh, First Lieutenant, United States Marine Corps, for services set forth in the following citation: for extraordinary heroism as Combined Anti-Armor Platoon Commander, Weapons Company 3-5, 1st Marine Division, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom on 25 March 2003. While leading his platoon north on Highway, I think that's a 1, toward I can never pronounce shit in Iraq. Diwania, First Lieutenant Chontosh's platoon moved into a coordinated ambush of mortars, rocket-propelled grenades, and automatic weapons fire. With coalition's tanks blocking the road ahead, he realized his platoon was caught in a kill zone. He had his driver move the vehicle through a breach along his flank, where he was immediately taken under fire from an entrenched machine gun. Without hesitation, First Lieutenant Chontosh ordered the driver to advance directly to enemy position, enabling his 50 caliber machine gunner to silence the enemy. He then directed his driver into the enemy trench, where he exited his vehicle and began to clear the trench with his rifle and 9mm pistol. His ammunition depleted, First Lieutenant Chontosh, with complete disregard for his own safety, twice picked up discarded enemy rifles and continued his ferocious attack. When a Marine following him found an RPG grenade launcher, the First Lieutenant used it to destroy yet another group of enemy soldiers. When his audacious attack ended, he had cleared over 200 meters of enemy trench, killing more than 20 enemy soldiers and wounding several others. By his outstanding display of decisive leadership, unlimited courage in the face of heavy enemy fire, and the utmost devotion to duty, First Lieutenant Chontosh reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest standards of the United States of the Marine Corps and United States Naval Service. That's good shit. He ended up getting out. I believe he's a major. Got out as a major. Maybe he didn't get out. Possibly he did. The dude's pretty well awarded, though. He also has a Bronze Star, 2 Bronze Stars with combat V's on him. So, dude's a hardcore dude. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys liked the Semper Sundays. It was fun. I love recording this stuff. Going back and reading all the things that Marines do just fucking pumps me up. Absolutely love it. So, yeah, if you guys ever have any questions or concerns, or if there's a particular battle or something you guys want to learn about, want me to go over, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to cover that for you. So, yeah, alright guys, I will see you in the next one. Semper Fi.